So with no further ado, Estefannie explains it all.
Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming here. Can I just say Miami is awesome? This is my first time here, less than 24 hours, and I already want to stay. It's so cool. The vibe, it's pretty cool. But anyways, my talk today, well, my name is Estefannie, and I have 2 channels on Instagram and on YouTube. Estefannie Explains It All. And I'm a software engineer by day, and by night I make things, and on the weekends. So today, actually, my talk today is called Maker's Gonna Break, and to me, it's such an important message to convey that it's actually really hard to make things, and you're gonna break a lot of things to get to the point where you want to get to. And one of my frustrations when I was looking up tutorials online was that everything looked like magic. They would be like, here's what I'm gonna do. Here it is, it's amazing. And there I was at home, I was like, well, it's not working for me. So I decided, and I'm guilty of that too. Some of my first videos I also did like, here it is. But then I realized, no, I think I wanna show everything, all my mistakes, all my crying and frustrations, and that's what the talk is about today. So I brought my Daft Punk helmet. I'm gonna start, so instead of taking you, I forgot my tagline. Okay. Well, my tagline was, instead of taking you through my maker journey, I'm gonna take you through my breaker journey, but whatever. But I'm gonna start backwards. This is one of the latest projects I've made. It's a Daft Punk helmet. And I decided one day last year, I want a Daft Punk helmet. I don't know how I'm gonna make it. I've never made a helmet. I don't even know how to make it, but I know I want a Daft Punk helmet. So I did a lot of research, and by research I mean Google, and I found out about, I'd never 3D printed before, so I learned how to 3D print. The entire helmet is 3D printed, all of it, including the visor area. Then I learned how to vacuum form. And that's to be able to make a cool visor and see through it. And who here knows about vacuum forming? Let me talk about vacuum forming then, real quick. So vacuum forming is when you take molten plastic onto a mold, and under it you have a box or something with holes that's gonna vacuum all the air out. So when you push it in, all the air is sucked out of it, and then the plastic forms into the shape that you have. And then you have a perfect piece of whatever you made. And that's how I learned how to make the visor. It sounds simple, but I did break about 3 sheets of PETG trying to do that. Here, I have the next one. Here it is when I melted it into my oven. That was great. I really didn't even know what to do with it. And these tips are gonna repeat a lot because video doesn't work in presentations. But I'm gonna go back here. And then last week I also broke, I think it's one of the most expensive things I've broken. Last week I was like, okay, I'm going to Maker Faire Miami. I need to do the visor again because it's all broken right now. I don't know if you can see from far away, but it's kind of broken. Because I took it to LA and I put it in a carry-on that was a little too small. But so I tried to make a new visor, but instead of trying to do it the same thing, I learned that, well, this is too soft, it doesn't look great, so I want to make a real visor. And I did a lot of Googling, and I found out that plexiglass would be the best option. And it already comes tinted, so I didn't have to learn how to tint it again. And I learned this week that vacuum forming plexiglass is very different than PETG, and that I almost burned my house down. So, learn from my mistakes. Do not try to vacuum form plexiglass in your oven. Yeah. Anyways, so that's also part of it. So this helmet, yes, it did take me a month to make it, but it was really hard to make. I broke a lot of things, including the helmet. I broke half of it when I was making it because I didn't know that epoxy takes a long time to dry. So I put all the glue, the epoxy on it, And then the next day, everything had shifted and then stayed there and glued like that. And I had to redo a lot of it. But that's it. Do you guys want a demo of the helmet? Should I just, yeah, okay, yeah, it's here. Let me turn it on. Okay. So now I can control it with my phone. Ooh. Let me turn on the hotspot, and in the meantime, I have pre-programmed a lot of patterns. It's making weird sounds. Okay. So it has about 6 or 7 pre-programmed rainbow patterns, and I also have a microphone in there, so it picks up the frequency of my voice and also moves the lights with sounds. Let me show you. Oh. The reason it takes me so long to change things is like it looks really bad on the inside, and I always forget where the control is. What is here? Okay, there it is. Okay, this is a microphone. If I no, is it? Yeah. As you can see, it's moving the lights when I talk. So that's the microphone picking up my voice and sounds. But then I also added music. Because when I went to Hackaday SuperCon, they named my talk, there's Daft Punk music playing in my helmet. I was like, oh, I need to put music in my helmet. So I went ahead and I'm hosting a website in the board I'm using. And that's how I can control it through my phone. All I have to do is go to that website. And it's all on my hotspot, so I'm not going to share it because I don't want you guys to go through my phone stuff. But when I put it on the right mode here, all right. So now I can control, I can tell me a color, any color you want. You.
Green.
Yeah, you. Sorry. Huh?
Red.
Red. Okay. Then I pick red here and color. Oh, that's kind of pink.
Yeah.
Sorry. It looked red on my phone. Oh, green. I heard green.
Green.
Well, that's teal. Okay. Okay, one more color.
Blue.
Aqua. Well, that's kind of aqua. It works. I'm going to do purple. There you go.
Yeah.
That's purple. And then I can play music in it. Let's see if it works. Yes. Yeah. I don't know where the speaker is somewhere. But anyways, I have about 8 gig in that board, so I can only put so many songs. So basically, it's like a really old iPod that lights up and I can wear. It's great for parties. Anyway, so that's that helmet. And how did I get there? That's definitely not my first build. I got there with my first little robot that we were just talking about this morning.
Oh.
I made a little BB-8 pumpkin droid for Halloween. And it was a very simple circuit. It was just an Arduino with 2 LED lights and 1 servo. And this was my very first project. I loved it. And I made a thing and I liked it. I could not stop. So that was easy. I can totally do this. So for my next project, I went × 5, and I added 5 servos, a lot of LEDs, a lot of everything for a smart gingerbread house. I wanted a smart gingerbread house that was powered with a solar panel, and I could control with my iPad, and yeah, very smart. I didn't know that, I didn't know back then a lot about clocking and the Arduino, and I plugged everything to one Arduino, which is a terrible idea, because sometimes the servos didn't really work. So when I demoed this is me with the iPad opening the door. that excitement is real because I didn't know it was gonna work. So it was a half-baked type of project, but I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and I moved on to the next one. Oh, yes. I made my automated French presser with particle, actually, yeah. And it was like, I want to press my French press from anywhere I want because, pressing a French press is so hard. So I made this thing, I connected to the internet with a particle board, and I could press it from anywhere. What I learned about this one was that when you break the stepper motor drivers, a weird magical blue genie type of smoke comes out. And it looks beautiful, but it's very sad because that's when you know it's gone forever. So that was an interesting learning thing. Oh, and also I learned how to use power tools because I definitely didn't know how. Growing up, I didn't grow up with anyone working with power tools or anyone who was an engineer or anyone. I didn't know anybody who was an engineer. I'm the first engineer in my house, my family. So everything I have to learn on my own, including power tools. Don't do this at home. And then of course I tried to go further and play with lasers, and it took me longer than making the project to calibrate the little photoresistor that can read the laser than actually making the whole thing. And that's because I picked tiny photoresistors because I was like, well, it's just a laser, you don't need that much. Bad idea. So I know next time I'm going to use bigger photoresistors and probably not use lasers again. It wasn't that fun. It looks great, but it wasn't that fun. Oh, and I guess for reference, that is a cookie jar laser security system. And if anyone breaches the laser or touches it, it takes a picture and posts it on Twitter. Yeah. And then I reused my pumpkin kit for a cake. And my mistake here was I did not measure the cake. So when I started building this, I thought I was going to put all the components inside the cake. And so I worked around like 3 days trying to get the Raspberry Pi ZW, the little one, to play MP3 music because I wanted the actual BB-8 sounds. And then I baked the cake, and then I realized that nothing could go inside the cake because it was too small. And everything went on a box next to it, and I could have just used the normal Raspberry Pi and taken me like an hour to do, but so I learned my lesson to measure before you start anything. I should have listened to your talk first. But that was a fun one. And the cake was delicious. Okay, I'm sorry it's extremely pixelated, but this is me walking at Disney World with a backpack, an LED backpack that I made, and I took it to Disney World, and it's controlled by that wand that I keep like controlling with. And so this one it's the most memorable make I've done, and the reason is because I broke it too many times. It was such a simple project where I just needed to solder the LED strip to a board that was made by Disney, and all I had to do was go to the park and test it. But every day I went to the park, it broke during the day, and at night, by the time the show started, this thing works with the show. The show like shoots signals to the board, and then the lights turn on and off with the show and with the ears and all the other stuff they sell, but the backpack I made. And the reason it's so memorable is because this was my first project I made where I soldered and that I took somewhere with me. And so I look back and I say, well, I did not know how to solder back then. I don't even know how I put that together. And I didn't bring anything with me because I thought it worked perfect. So I only had a glue gun, nail clippers, and tweezers. And that's how I fixed it. And then it worked out perfect. This is at the show. You can kind of see me. It's super dark, but the music is like controlling the lights and everything. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's definitely my most memorable project because I cried so much when it didn't work the first 2 days. There was a cast member from Disney World. She saw me crying. I was actually crying. When I say cry, I was actually crying at a Disney World park because my backpack was broken. And the cast member was like, "Oh, are you okay?" And this was 2 years ago. "And are you okay, honey?" And I was like, "No, my backpack broke." And she's like, "Did you make it?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she gave me the wand, and I cherished that wand so much because she made me feel so much better about it. But anyways, now I know how to solder and insulate and make sure my projects don't break. I also travel with it, with a whole lab. This is a Halloween project I made. I make robots. I want to be a robot for Halloween. Yes?
And the backpack thing, did you try it before you went to Disney World?
I did not try it before I went to Disney World.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know if it was going to work. That's why it was so nerve-wracking, you know?
You should have tried it.
How? It works with the show. So the show is the thing that sends the signals. I didn't have like the
Did it
show
just work with music?
with their show only. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, but it only works with their show. They're sending the signals with, and I meant with the music, like it is synchronized with the music, and it works really well with their wands. So I could have tested after going there and buying their wand that shoots the signal as well. Yeah. But that's a good question. Yeah, this is the robo suit I made. I had learned already a lot of things with this one, so it's a little bit more robust project. The only thing that didn't really quite work, again, because I never looked back and learned a lot about the servo situation, but the head moves up and down, as you can see, and those are 2 servos on the side, and I have a little button in my hand that I can press, and it goes like ha ha ha, and sometimes it didn't work, but it was just sometimes. And everything else worked just fine. I had lights, I had sounds that came out of it, I had a little speaker there. It also changed my voice. That was one of the best things. It changed my voice to sound like a robot. And the heartbeat that you see in the middle, it would beat every time I would get a like on Instagram. So I connected to Instagram, and Instagram kept my robot alive. But yeah, this one, the only, okay, I need to tell you what went wrong with this. It took me so long to actually get everything working. It was such an ambitious, big project. I didn't think it was, but it was at the end. That I had all those spider webs in my kitchen for 2 weeks. Bad idea. Don't start filming until you're done. The robot again. Again, I didn't measure, the leg was too long. Yeah. I still have the head somewhere in my house. Okay, and then as a build-up of every single project that I've made, and I made others, I didn't want to show all of them, but every project I've learned something new. And then I used that new skill for the next one. And this one is my favorite project. This is a photo taker that is triggered depending on where you are. You have a question, sorry.
Why are the lines squiggly? Yeah.
Oh, because that's London. In the UK, they do that where when you cross the street.
Let's say like someone's drunk and they say to walk.
Yeah.
I have a friend called Henry and he said he's from London.
I'm sorry?
I have a friend named Henry and he's from London.
Oh, he's from London? Awesome. Oh, hi. But yeah, this thing was a Raspberry Pi connected through Wi-Fi to my GoPro, and depending on the coordinates I was standing, it would take a picture or not. I had saved a list of places where I wanted to visit in London, including Abbey Road, and when I walked there, the coordinates would be within the threshold that I programmed, and it would take the picture. So I have a lot of pictures, because you really have to get out of that radius for you to stop taking pictures. But this is the only project that did not break. It worked perfect. First try, no problems, it still works. So the point is, I broke a lot of things to be able to get to this point and this level of maker. Oh yeah, so I just went back to this, I already demoed it, and my message is do not give up after blinking your first LED. If you break it, get 20 and break all 20. And keep going and keep trying. If everybody stopped at our first mistake or our first wall, nobody would be doing anything. Yes, question?
When you said if you break the first one, get 20 more and break them, access the feverish money.
That's what?
Yeah, what is it?
I didn't hear you what?
You said get one, and like if they're broken, so you get 21 and break them. That's just a waste of money, so why would you do it?
Oh, if you want to become a maker or an engineer and learn, you're going to end up breaking a lot of them. I guess the message what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, it's not about money, or it's not going to be about how many times you've broken it. It's about getting there when you stop breaking it and learning through your mistakes. Yeah.
Blinking is supposed to be breaking because, well, it doesn't blink after you break it.
Well, that's true too. That's a great point. Question?
I think what you were trying to say is if you break one, why would you go buy them to break them again? Like trying to break it. You say you break 20 more.
Yeah.
You're going to take a hammer and break them.
No, not like with a hammer. Right. No, the message is more like, if you break it, don't stop. Don't let that discourage you. Yes, question?
So it's not a hammer.
Not a hammer. Not a chainsaw. Let's say you burn it because you shorted your circuit or something like that. Yeah.
What next?
Well, so now I'm too scared of my next slide. Great. But I was just, yeah, sure.
Are you paid by yourself or you have sponsors?
Okay, that's a good question. I sometimes get sponsors, sometimes, well, for the most part, it's all myself. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the one just closing thing I was going to say, that's the biggest skill I have gained as an engineer or as a maker is that not stopping after I make a mistake or break something. And that's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you.
Who has a question? Do you have time for questions?
Questions.
How old were you?
That's rude.
How old were you when you started making?
When I started making 2 years ago.
What advice do you have for all the Girl Scouts here to get started on their journey for making?
I think, yes, that's a great question. I think that you're in a great time where you're being exposed to these things. If you like it, you can pick it up, start asking questions, come to the fair, and like I said, just ask questions and get into it. I feel like I said, I was never exposed to engineers or any type of power tools when I was little, and I think you guys have the advantage right now, and you can make it happen if you really want to make things. So it's like playing with Play-Doh, but cooler, I think. Yeah.
How did you film your projects?
A tripod. For the most part. Yeah.
I had a quick question. You mentioned, not in this talk, but you are also a math major and you love math.
I love math. Yeah.
And how would you describe being good at math or wanting to learn math how does that help you become a better maker?
I love that question.
And should kids be afraid of math?
No, great question. So on the subject of math, I'm very passionate about it, and I'm glad you brought it up. I get a lot of questions from people who want to learn how to program, saying, hey, I heard that you need math to program, and I feel like I am bad at math, so can I still program? And my answer is usually, just to be harsh on them, is say no. Because that's just the reality. I think that calling yourself being bad at math is just, you're just being lazy. Math is exactly like tennis or piano. You gotta practice, practice, practice. If you don't do your homework, you don't do practice, you're never gonna be good at math. Everybody else who's good at math did their time. So that's my answer about the importance of math. And when it comes to engineering and programming, I use it all the time. Every single thought process, logic-wise, is math. So yeah, every single project there had math in it. A lot.
How do you get so many likes on Instagram? Because
The important questions are coming up.
Kardashian attack, you wanna know how to get the likes?
You have so many beats.
Oh, on the, well, okay, so I planned that one. For the RoboSuit, I get the most likes within 1 hour of posting a picture. So when I was filming that video, I posted a picture so I would get all those likes for the video. That's how I did that one. Yeah. You have. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, how do you determine which idea is worth investing time in? And also, do you think of solutions that will help the world, and how would you go about creating them?
That's a very good question. So I'm gonna say the truth is, to me, it's just like making my own toys. So it's in a very selfish way, not making the world a better place, but making my world a better place. I know I could be using these skills to help the world, and I just haven't thought of an idea. These are very small, quick makes that I'm like, oh, I need something for Halloween, let me make something. And I think overall, if I am helping anybody, would be to hopefully inspire people to pursue any careers in STEM. Yeah.
Over here.
is it sometimes dangerous to like make stuff with all the wirings?
I mean, it's. I think the most dangerous one was the visor, like I mentioned, because I put it in the oven. The power tools are the most dangerous. The wires themselves, I think the most dangerous thing that you can do is break your board, short it. And I mean, and that's not good because those are expensive for the most part. But I'm not very afraid of the wires. The wires are okay. But be careful with power tools. Don't do that with adults. Yeah.
Question in the middle here.
Why are you breaking all this stuff?
I'm not doing it on purpose.
I meant to say, how do you break the stuff? Like, what mistakes?
Right, so the mistakes were like when I didn't measure first, or when I tried to do the visor, I broke so many plastic sheets before I got it right, and that's just because there's no formula. If you go online, there's no formula that tells you this temperature, this time in the oven at all. So I had to play by ear, so that's how you break a lot of things.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We have a table outside,
Oh yeah.
and we have a step repeat that has a logo. A lot of the Girl Scouts wanted pictures with you.
Yay!
A lot of the kids wanted pictures with you. So what we're gonna do is, to give Steffi some time, if you give us 5 minutes for her to pack up her stuff, we're gonna meet outside. And that way you guys can ask all the questions you guys want. And I wanna do that now because there's a battle ball panel, and a lot of people want to do a battle ball panel too. So that gives us time to do both things and make everybody happy.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody okay with that?
Wait, let's take a picture like this first.
Wait, okay, why don't you go there, I use your camera, and do a selfie?
Yeah, let's do something. Oh,
Alright,
oh, sure.
when can she start at Watson?
Oh.
I'm like, where? What? Huh?
You like Miami, right?
I love Miami.
I did with me from Texas to Miami, so.
All right, everybody, raise your hands.
Ready?
Woo!
Wait, this requires a panorama, hold on.
Okay, nobody move, ready? Put your hands up, but don't move.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
You guys can go outside or probably, you guys can go next. Battle Box, that was awesome.